Welcome to Equipping Leaders, a podcast where I share and discuss resources, tools, and information to equip leaders to build creative, cohesive teams through culture and leader development. Welcome to Equipping Leaders, Episode 6. I'm your host, Natasha, and today I'm going to talk about how we pay attention to people's lives. The other day I was in a mastermind group, and one of the individuals said, the senior people in my organization just don't understand how to pay attention to people's lives. And as we started to unpack that and we were talking about it, it really came down to just the very seemingly simple concept that as a leader, you have to care about the people around you. And you don't just care about them because they're a number in an organization, but you care about who they are as a person. And right now, especially during the pandemic, some people are losing jobs and some people are not adjusting well to social distancing and teleworking and stuff like that. It's always important, but right now it takes on a unique type of importance because not only are we operating in a different way, but we're checking in on people in a different way. How do you care about the people around you? It's more than just actions, right? Of course, you have to build trust, and that trust is built face-to-face, but it's also built via Zoom. It's built via telephone and email, and I know that one of the leaders in my organization, I get a daily email where they say, hey, how are you doing today? I remember you saying this from yesterday, or anything like that. But those little actions every day remind me that that person is paying attention. And maybe you don't have the time to do something every day, but the actions that you take will help build that trust. And the actions that you don't take leave that trust just kind of flapping in the wind. You can have all of these efforts too, so you're doing all these things, you're working to build trust. And then when you try to make a change or an initiative, or if you suddenly, maybe you watch a good TED Talk or listen to a good podcast or something and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna start engaging and help to build that trust. Just remember that efforts are pointless if you don't have that trust. So building that trust is something that is very important. And when we care about people every day, we earn their trust every day. So we earn it as we are engaging with people, as we are getting to know them, and as we are allowing them to also see parts of our life. So a big aspect of this is listening. So when we think of listening, you're like, yeah, listening, of course, we listen. That a lot of people, that's their whole job. And it's everybody's job, actually. Everybody should be listening. But a lot of times, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, where you listen to respond and you don't listen to understand. And listening to understand puts us in a really vulnerable spot because we're so used to a conversation where I talk, you talk, I talk, you talk, I talk, you talk, and any sort of pause seems uncomfortable or it seems weird. So we're not listening because we are prepping what we're going to say next. And that way there's no weird pause, right? If I just think about the next thing to say, as soon as you're done talking, I'm going to respond. When you do that, you're not really getting all the information. You're not really taking in what the person is saying. And when we don't listen to people, they feel disengaged, they can feel dismissed, and if you don't listen to them, they are not going to listen to you. So how do we listen? Listening is sitting quietly. You are engaging with the person through body language, meaning that you're not facing away from them, you are looking at them, and no matter what they say, if it's something that you find, if you feel like they're attacking you, it's not about that. It's not about absorbing their message into every cell of your being. You're just letting it land on you. And from there, you can consider it. And then when it's your opportunity, you can respond. But we're not letting it land and then quickly absorbing and then just responding fast. A lot of times, what we want to do when someone is saying something, we want to minimize their pain. We want to minimize their frustration. So we want to respond quickly because we want to help them understand where we were coming from. But that doesn't help. It actually just makes people feel dismissed. So instead, just listening, letting it land on you, not absorbing it, and not working so hard to respond. And you will find that even in those few seconds after someone has stopped talking and you consider what actually needs to be said in those moments, you will say the right things. You actually don't need to put all these moments, so many moments of thought into it that you're not listening to what the person is saying. You will know intuitively in that moment what to say. So how do we take this and put it into action steps? Something to consider over the next few days is look at how are you listening? Are you listening? And this isn't something that you need to report back to the person to be like, oh, by the way, I wasn't listening to you. I was only listening to respond. This is not an out loud project. This is an internal project. But think, how are you listening? And if you are listening to respond, then just notice it. It's not this time to judge yourself and to beat up on yourself. Just notice that that's how you listen. And then you can work to adjust it. And then think about, in that moment, what would it actually be like to listen to learn? What am I going to learn from this person? And whether you learn more about that individual or you learn more about a certain project or about any piece of an organization, you will walk away with more than what the person just told you. You'll also walk away with them feeling heard, the entire interaction being more engaging. It will make a difference in ways that can't just be put on paper, right? It goes back to that building trust that I was talking about at the beginning. And this listening, this works at any level of an organization. So whether it's with subordinates, it's important to listen to your peers. And of course, it's important to listen to this more senior people in an organization, but just listen. And don't feel like you need to respond. You responding the second someone stops talking doesn't say any more or less about your intellect than if you take a few seconds to think it over as well. Thank you for listening to the Equipping Leaders podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at novel_Natasha or on Twitter at Natasha Cheyenne. Please join me next time for more insight and resources to equip leaders.